بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Today, inshallah, we're going to be doing purification and impurities. So this is the lesson on tahara. We already studied the salah, and this is a very important lesson for male and female. It's chapter 23. You have the book. So the book says purification and impurities. So we're going to look at what is the ruling regarding purity of semen or sperm. What is the menstruation cycle and how long it lasts? Also, what is the ruling of the baby's urine? Okay, so it seems like we've already covered some of the purifications in the chapter of the tahara. We're continuing on from there. We have some ahadith, and also we've got some information from fiqh books. So first of all, I'm going to start with female. Sorry, as male and female. Oh, the connection changed. Okay, I'll just use this connection. So this other connection now the internet ran out of battery. I hope you can hear me clearly, inshallah. I hope it doesn't lag. Anyway, in this first hadith, it talks about istihada or haid in general. So this hadith, if we talk about what istihada is or what is haid, the menstruation cycle, it is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written on women. Yani, as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, it's going to happen to the women, and it's a part of yani, the nature or biologically how they've been created, so they can also conceive and have give birth. So the first, so we'll look at some of the rulings anyway. What I'll do, actually, I'll go to the fiqh. Can you guys hear me clearly? Yeah. It might not be the same quality. Can you hear me?
Yes, man. Yes, man.
Okay, good. So if we look at the menstruation cycle, if you want, you can look at the information. It says the minimum menstruation for the period is a day and a night. Okay, so a woman can have her period. She can bleed for a day and night, and it's still counted as haid, the menstruation cycle. Generally, it lasts for 6 to 7 days. Okay, and the maximum is 15 days a night. So this obviously, most of the madahib are very similar, the four madahib, but this is mainly based on the fiqh al-Shafi'i. Okay, so, and also based on the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said to a woman, "Tahidina fi ilmillah," you will have your menstruation cycle between 5 and 6. Okay, so this is the average for women. But it could last up to 15 days. So if a woman is bleeding for 15 days, it's still counted as haid. Also, what is the minimum between that time? The minimum interval that she can be pure, it's also 15 days. Okay. So let's say if she gets a period and she has it for 5 days, and then after 15 days, she gets her period again. Or after 15 days, she gets her period again. It's still counted as the period. Okay. Also here it says a journey lasts for 23 or 24 days, and there's no limit to the number of days between the two menstruations. So he said there's no limit. It can last longer than that. According to Madhab Shafi'i, the menstruation cycle can last longer than that. Okay. But the minimum is 15 days. The minimum is 15 days. postnatal bleeding, which is the bleeding that the woman gets after she gives birth. Okay, and that can last for 40 days up to 60 days. It can last 40 days up to 60 days, so 1 month and 10 days or 2 months. Okay, and why do we need to know this? The reason why you need to know this is because a woman, if she has her menstruation cycle, then she doesn't pray her salah, and also she doesn't fast. So she doesn't pray her salah, and she doesn't fast. And that's mentioned in a hadith, even a hadith narrated by Aisha radiallahu anha, or a hadith where Aisha mentions that, we used to leave salah and fasting during the time of hayd. And it's something that we shouldn't be shy about, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about it in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَإِذَا تَطَهَّرْنَ فَأْتُوهُنَّ مِنْ حَيْثُ أَمَرَكُمُ اللَّهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibited intercourse with a woman during her period. Okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said it is adha, it is harm if a person does that. It will cause harm, and also it's pain that a woman feels as well. The menstruation cycle, there is some pain. And that's one of the ways also a woman can know if it's a menstruation cycle or if it's some other bleeding. We're going to learn also there's something called al-istihada. So the hadith mentions, this hadith is an Aisha and Fatima bint Abi Hubaysh كانت تستحاض فقال لها رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن دم الحيض دم أسود يعرف فإذا كان ذلك فأمسكي عن الصلاة فإذا كان الآخر فتوضئي وصلي. So this Sahabiya, Fatima, she asks about a bleeding that she gets, which is not the height. So it's continuous. Some women can get bleeding which goes beyond the normal. So going on for a month and going longer. So then how would she know if this is normal, the normal height, or if it's a vein? There's the Prophet ﷺ, this is coming from a vein. Prophet ﷺ said, this is coming from a vein. So how does the woman know if it is time for her to pray or not to pray? So then she looks at the hadith. According to the hadith, it says that she looks at the color of the blood. Okay, the Prophet ﷺ said, the blood, the menstruation cycle is black and is recognizable. Okay, so it's black, and that's how a woman is black with some red with some blackness in it. That's how she knows it is the height. As for if it's just some other bleeding due to medical illness, then it will be just like normal blood, like how a person bleeds from any body part. So then she knows the difference between the blood. This is according to some other things. Some will look at the color, some will look at the time, but this is what a woman can do. She can look to see. There's also, we're going to look at the opinion, the ruling regarding the mutahayyir. So for example, let's say there's three scenarios. Okay, let's see 3 scenarios. One scenario is a woman who has she has her menstruation cycle. She knows when her menstruation cycle starts and when it finishes. She has a menstruation cycle for 5 days, 6 days, and it finishes. There's another one that has her menstruation cycle, but it continues. Her menstruation cycle, for example, it's longer, it's not regular. So sometimes she gets it, it becomes irregular. Sometimes beginning of the month, sometimes end of the month, sometimes middle of the month. And it could be also because of medicine she's taking, it becomes irregular. So that woman, she will just stop praying, and whenever her haid comes, she knows it's 5 days and it's a cycle, so she would stop praying and fasting. Okay, there's a woman which she's bleeding. Okay, so she's bleeding for 1 month, 2 months, and then she doesn't know if it's the how's she going to know if it's the haid, okay, the period, or if it's another type of bleeding. okay, due to illness. So the scholars have said either she looks at the color when she looks at the color of the blood. Some of them said she looks at the timing. So if she used to get it at that time, beginning of the month, then she would stop praying. As well, she looks at the color. If it's different, then she knows it's the time. Sorry, can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? I think I went off the Abdulrazak, can you hear me? You can tag if you want to. Khalid, can you hear me? I think I went off. Tell me if I'm missing some stuff, if it's lagging or if it's cutting off. I'll get charged.
I can hear you normally, man.
Okay, good. So that's regarding the height. Okay, so this is nothing to be shy about. So if a woman has some other type of bleeding, which is not her menstruation cycle, then she has to if she has this normal bleeding, which is not the period, then she has to fast and pray her salah. That's why he has to know the difference. Okay, so also a woman can know when she finishes her height as well. Even the women, they used to take cotton, with some blood on it from the private parts to Aisha radiallahu anha, and she would say, if you see the whiteness, then you know it's time for you to pray your salah and to do ghusl. Okay, so women should know the ruling of the haid, and also even the men, the husbands, they should know about the ruling of haid as well. And also we talked about ghusl, how a woman washes herself from the haid. Okay, so this is something that we should not be shy about, and women should learn about, because Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam also told women what to do. Okay, that's regarding the haid. Obviously, there should be no intercourse during the haid. And but if the woman has istihada, if she has this bleeding, some scholars said they're allowed to still do the intercourse. Some said they're not. But because if she's got this bleeding for a long time, wallahu a'lam. Anyway, that's regarding the haid. Regarding the semen, okay, the sperm. So if the person, what is the ruling of semen in terms of its purity? Is it clean? If it goes on your clothes, or the sperm, if it goes on your clothes, is it clean? So is it tahir? If you have some that on your clothes, do you have to throw away your clothes and don't pray with them? Or can you wash it off? Can you scrape it off? So according to the hadith, and the strongest opinion is that the sperm is not najis, it is tahir. Why? Because there's a difference of opinion. Some of them said because it's coming out from the private parts, so it must be najis. Everything which comes out from the private parts is najis. Some of them said that. Other scholars said, how could we say something that we are made from and the prophets are made from is najis? So, and they said it is pure, and based on the hadith. So this hadith in the book you have, and Amr bin Maymun قال سألت سليمان بن يسار عن المني يصيب ثوب الرجل أيغسله أم يغسل الثوب فقال أخبرتني عائشة أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يغسل المني ثم يخرج إلى الصلاة في ذلك الثوب وأنا أنظر إلى أثر الغسل فيه. So this hadith says, Amr ibn Maymun says, I asked Sulaiman ibn Yasar about sperm or semen. When it gets on the person's garment, should he wash it or not? He replied, I asked Aisha radiallahu anha, or Aisha told me that when semen used to go on Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's clothing, he would wash it and then he would wear it to prayer. Okay, and you can still see the watermarks on the clothing, which means he didn't wash all the clothes. He just washed that part where the sperm was. And obviously, if it hasn't been washed in a lot of water, then obviously it's not going to be fully removed. So there will be something remaining on it, and that shows that it is still pure. Also, there's another hadith which says when it's dry, Aisha radiallahu anha used to scrape it off. So if it was filthy, it would not be scraped off, the whole clothes would be washed completely. So the semen in itself is pure, and therefore if it goes on your clothing or on your khamis or even on the woman's clothing, they just scrape it off, wash it off, it's fine. It's not like urine, it's pure. That's the strongest opinion. Okay, now we're going to look at al-madi. Al-madi is also in the book. Ali radiallahu anhu says, قال كان رجلا مذاء فاستحيا أن يسأل النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عن المذي قال فقال المقداد سل لي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن المذي قال فسأله فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فيه الوضوء. So in this hadith, Ali radiallahu anhu says he was very shy, and he was too shy to ask Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam about this because he's married to his daughter, he's married to Fatima. So he said, I told Miqdad to go and ask. Miqdad went and he asked the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam about Madi, which is translated as, you could say, prostatic fluid. Okay? Prostatic fluid. And Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said regarding it, the person has to make wudu. So when does this Madi come? Okay? Madi, it's when a person is aroused. Okay, he's aroused, then he gets something like some wetness on his private part before the person does intercourse. This comes. So if a person gets this, let's say he doesn't do intercourse, but he gets this wetness on the private parts, which is called prostatic fluid, then what he has to do, he has to wash his private parts. And some ahadith, they say he sprinkles water on his clothes. Okay, so this is similar to the sperm, kind of takes the same ruling. If it was fully najis, then you would have to completely wash those clothing or remove it completely. So it seems like we can't say it's also najis, but the person has to wash his private parts and he has to sprinkle water on his trousers or whatever he's wearing, and he has to make wudu again. So he breaks the wudu. Okay, everything that comes out of the private parts breaks the wudu. Okay, regarding the ruling, if you have any questions, you can ask me, inshallah. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Any questions?
Not from my side. I have no questions.
Okay. Hey, the next is the ruling of the baby urine, baby boy's urine or the girl's urine. They have two different rulings. So the Prophet ﷺ shows us what to do in this case. So in this hadith, it says, عن أبي السمح قال كنت أخدم النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فكان إذا أراد أن يغتسل قال ولني قفاك فوليه قفايا فأستره بي فأتي بحسن أو حسين رضي الله عنهما فبال على صدره فجئت أغسله فقال يغسل من بول الجارية ويرش من بول الغلام. So this hadith is narrated by Abu Samah, and he says, I used to serve the Prophet ﷺ. Whenever he intended to wash himself, he would say, turn your back towards me. So they didn't have any material, anything to cover. So he would say, turn your back to me so people can't see me. And then he would use him like as a screen. And then Muhammad ﷺ would take a shower like that. But he said, after that, I brought Hassan and Hussein to him, and they urinated on his chest. Okay, one of them urinated on his chest. Then he said, I came to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and I said, should I wash this urine off? Should I wash it? And he said, no, it is only the urine of female which should be washed. The urine of the male should be sprinkled over. So the hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam telling us there's a difference between the urine of the baby boy and the baby girl. As for the baby boy, if he urinates on your clothing or your skin or your body, then on the baby boy's urine that has not eaten food, okay, then you sprinkle water on it. If he's already eaten food, then you have to wash it. But let's say if he hasn't eaten food yet, he's only still suckling, he's only drinking milk, then you sprinkle water on those clothing on your chest. As for the girl, you have to wash it. So what is the difference between the urine of the boy and the girl? So the best opinion, some gave other opinions like, oh, people used to like, they like boys more and they carry them more, and this is make it easier for the people out of culture. But obviously, I don't think that's a very strong opinion or a very strong explanation. Probably the best explanation would be that there's some difference between, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows, between the urine of the boy and the urine of the girl. Okay? And that difference could be the way the girl urinates and the way the boy urinates. The boy sprinkles all over the place, so it becomes, it's not that it's not concentrated in one place. As for the girl, she would urinate and it will fall in one place. That could be one difference. Another difference, which it should be some of the Muslim scholars, scientists should do research, is there, difference between the bacteria and the najasa between the boy's urine and the girl's urine. That could probably be a difference, one difference. Wallahu a'lam. So this is all I was going to cover today, which is really how you clean your clothes and how you clean yourself from what comes out from the private parts. And also, if we add, for example, if a woman gets some, if she gets some of the, the period or the blood on her clothes, okay? So also, she should, they say, like, kind of rub it together if it's dry, and wash it as well. So it is najis, and she has to wash it. Anything that comes out from the private parts is najis, except the sperm. And if you want to add the midi as well. Okay? So that's what you need to do for removing any filth, which is generally talking about what relates to basically keeping yourself clean, generally speaking. Okay, any questions regarding this? Any questions regarding the haid, the istihada, or anything relating to what you think might be?
No, no questions.
Okay, khair, inshallah. I'll just stop this from here. I could add other points as well. Here it says, we have some questions here. It says, if the blood ceases to flow in less than 24 hours, then it is not considered haid, menstruation, and the woman must make up the salah she omitted during it. Let's say if a woman had her menstruation cycle, or this is another point as well we can cover, which is, for example, let's say if a woman's menstruation cycle stops, okay, before Asr, okay, or within the time of Asr. Within the time of Asr, does she have to make up that salah? Does she have to make up Asr? So she had her period stopped during Asr time, and it's still Asr time. Or even she finds out later on, Maghrib time, Isha time, she realizes that her period stopped at Asr time. Does she have to pray Asr? Does she have to make up for Asr? Okay, I'll give you the answer. It seems you guys are quiet. Yes, she has to make up the Asr. If her period stops during that Salah time, from the beginning to the end, anytime, even if it's the last minute, that Salah is wajib upon her. Okay? Let's say if her istihada finishes, anyway, for fasting, she has to make up the days. For the Salah, she only makes up the day that her period stopped and she was clean during that prayer. Okay. Allahu A'lam. I'm going to just stop this lesson here. and start the next one.